Greetings. This is Black Light. Check this out.
See, sleeping around is not a crime. Maybe embarrassing, but not a crime. But sleeping with underage girls is a crime.
I did receive money to go to these parties. After every party, I was paid by Mr. Epstein. There wasn't, out of all the girls that were there with me, most of them were 13, 14. I think the oldest one might have been 16, but just turned 16. And she'd been there for a while. He'd see me, he would say, "Oh man, you look," and it wasn't like "Oh, you remind me of my daughter." It was this sick, evil, like, you remind me of my daughter. You are special. You remind me of my daughter.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
It was just this weird pleasure, sick smile. Like, I don't even want to know what he was thinking about. I could imagine what he was thinking about. After the parties would end, we were to report to Mr. Epstein and basically tell him everything that happened, with who, what they liked, what they disliked, if there was any requests, if there was any talk about anything. That's what, we told Mr. Epstein everything. He ripped off all my clothes and he started to basically have sex with me, and I was screaming. I'd never had sex before. It was my first time, and Tiffany was yelling at him too. She was saying I was a virgin, and he told us to just shut the fuck up, and just basically took my virginity while I was crying and telling him to stop, and that's basically begging for him to just stop. And Tiffany didn't know what else to do either. No one was there to help us, or me. And so after the fact, he basically finishes it. It didn't take that long at all. But it was just, it felt like it was like 5.5 hours. It felt like it was an eternity. Like, I don't even know how long it was, but he was done, and I was crying, and Tiffany was consulting me, and she was, apologizing. She told me that she just never put me in that situation again. But he comes over mad because I was crying, and he said that I should be thankful that someone like Donald Trump took my virginity. He basically didn't say took my virginity. He said I should be glad that someone like Donald Trump popped my cherry, and not some pimply little 14-year-old. And I just was like, what if I said, what if I get pregnant? Not even talking to him. I didn't want to talk to him. I was talking to Tiffany. And he said, well, you'll get an abortion then, bitch. And then just walked away. And I told Tiffany I needed to go home.
He made sure these girls were underage. I have theories about who wanted him dead. Probably there were quite a number of people in the States wanted him dead, but I would think mainly the Israelis.
Mainly? I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
They have the most to lose from all of this coming out.
Because you really didn't want the stories to come out about how they were blackmailing American politicians.
No.
Yes, it's true, because Elan's thing that she told me was that he was assigned to her to protect her because her dad had died. And I'm like, who assigned you? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? And when she was showing me pictures of her dad and crying over them, I had to sit with this bitch all the time and go through photo albums and I know her really well. And I know how she operates. And that's why I'm so afraid that she's still on the loose. And I know who's taking care of her. I know it is the Rothschild. I know it is. And I'll tell you how I know. Because Lady Rothschild is ready to kill me. Because she's best friends with,
the Rothschild?
She's going to sue.
Is this who you're talking about?
Lynn, yeah, Lynn Forrester. She's calling me a liar because she's saying that she set Dershowitz, saw Dershowitz coming in and out of the house.
Yeah, she introduced Epstein.
She's
to
saying
Dershowitz,
it's not
apparently.
possible
She
that I
claims
saw
that anyway.
She didn't. Yeah, she did not. She did not. But she wants to think so. So their story is that she introduced them as a gift from Wexner, because every year Wexner would give a gift to Epstein, and this year it was, he's such a wonderful gift, Dershowitz.
Look, I was introduced to him by the Lady Rothschild.
So she gave him as a gift, you know. But anyway, she said to me, it was a sign to me to protect me because my dad died. And I was like, I don't understand this. And I said, well, you know, what happened to your dad? She said, those cunts pushed him. And I thought she said off the baby Gielan. So for years I thought it was the Lady Gielan. He said those cunts pushed him off of the baby Gielan.
People who knew him at the time, who worked with him, have said to me now, Robert Maxwell thought he actually owned the Mossad, like he owned newspapers and everything else. That he bought them with his millions of stolen money he was feeding to them and so on. With these incredible deals he was making with these people, he was bringing them to and so on. That didn't work with the Mossad. They thought he'd become, what we call a loose cannon.
So then she says to me, you know, my dad was a very powerful man, and, you know, he was very important. She said, Maria, you don't understand. And then she's showing me, like, who she grew up with and how powerful he was and how much money they had. And then she goes on to tell me, she said, you know, Maria, and this is true, she said, and she showed me, she had passports. Get this, I don't know how this is legal. She had a passport, a French passport, an English passport, an Israeli passport, an American passport, and there was one other. I'm trying to think of what the other one was.
Get your passport to the ocean. So you will have 2 passports.
And I was like, I thought you were only allowed to be citizen like of 2 countries or something. I didn't know. And she's like, oh, no, because of my dad. I'm the citizen of all these nations. Later, when she was talking to me about something one day, she said that the Rothschilds were the greatest protectors of her family. And she wasn't talking about Lynn Forrester, by the way.
She was talking about the other ones, yeah.
His Majesty's government deal with favour the establishment of Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours, Arthur Balfour.
And here it is, the Balfour Declaration. What do you feel when you see it here?
I genuinely feel it's one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of the Jewish people. If you think it took 3,000 years to get to this. And then you say, how did this miracle happen? It's the most incredible piece of opportunism.
The people that are in her, yeah.
Well,
And
Lynn
she said
Forrester
they're the greatest, they've always
married
been the
into
greatest.
Rothschild family, and that was in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, if she was talking about this to you
Yeah,
before, then
it was
she
through-
definitely didn't mean her.
Yeah, no, it was through Gielan. I mean, it was that Lynn Forrester, I believe. Didn't she hook up through them?
She
I mean, I
met
thought she met the Rothschilds
Evelyn de
through
Rothschild, who's her husband, through Henry Kissinger, I believe, of Bilderberg.
Yeah. Oh, through Kissinger. Okay. Yeah, of course.
Clinton has a very warm friendship with none other than Lynn Forrester de Rothschild. You know Lynn, of the infamous Rothschild banking family. She was introduced to her Rothschild husband by none other than Henry Kissinger, at none other than the 1998 Bilderberg Group conference. For real, that is how Lynn became a member of the Rothschild family, a family who has been under scrutiny for centuries for using their banking wealth to control the outcomes of wars and massive global shifts in power. You don't get more establishee than Lynn Rothschild.
name of Allah the most merciful, to whom all holy praises is due, the Lord of the world, the most merciful, the finder and life giver, till we, the lost and found, sleeping dead in the wilderness of North America. Work is not an organization work. It is not a special society work. It is not a special secret order that we're trying to establish. This is a universal work, and the separation of our people from the devil for the purpose of destroying the devils and saving you. I want to be frank with you.
Assalamu alaikum. According to the scriptures and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, today is the day of judgment, the day of separation, and destroying, the saving of the righteous and destroying the wicked. It ain't over. This is Black Light.